Today, we're diving into a really powerful idea. What if the best tool we have to fight climate change isn't some new gadget or technology, but a whole new way of thinking? Let's explore how education might just be the ultimate climate solution.
I mean, you see it everywhere, right? Raging wildfires, devastating floods. The signs that our planet is in trouble are pretty much impossible to ignore. It's this constant blinking red light telling us that our world is changing, and it's changing fast. We spend so much time and energy focusing on these big external problems. But what if we're looking in the wrong place? What if the real root of the problem isn't out there, but in here, inside our own heads?
And that brings us to a really critical idea. This whole climate crisis, it's actually a crisis of consciousness. It all stems from how we, as a species, see ourselves in relation to the world around us. Yeah, and this right here, this really gets to the heart of it. For centuries, the prevailing mindset has been that the Earth is just a giant, bottomless pantry of resources, free for the taking. It's a way of thinking that puts us over here and nature way over there, instead of seeing that we're all part of the same system. And honestly, that disconnect, that's what's brought us to the edge.
Okay, so if the problem is how we think, then the solution has to be about changing how we think, right? And what's the most powerful tool we have for shifting human consciousness on a massive scale? It's education. Specifically, something called Education for Sustainable Development.
Now, Education for Sustainable Development, or ESD for short, it isn't just about memorizing facts about recycling or carbon emissions. Now, it's way bigger than that. It's a whole approach. It's about giving people the tools, the critical thinking skills, the values, the right attitudes to build a future that works for everyone and for the planet. A future that's good for the environment, the economy, and society as a whole.
And you can see this connection perfectly in the UN's Sustainable Development Goals. Think about it like this. SDG 4, quality education, is what gives us the tools to understand what's going on. Then you have SDG 13, climate action, which is the green light to use those tools to fix the problem. They're two sides of the same coin, really. You can't have effective action without deep understanding.
This quote from PM Narendra Modi really nails the scale of what we're talking about. It's like a ripple effect, isn't it? It starts with one person thinking about the national good. Then the whole nation thinks about the global good. It's only when we align our actions at every single level, from you and me all the way up to global policy, that sustainable development actually becomes real.
So this all sounds great in theory, but how do we actually do it? I mean, it's one thing to talk about changing minds, but it's another thing to have a real plan. So let's break down the blueprint for turning these big ideas into real-world action.
Okay, the whole strategy really rests on four main pillars. First up, we have to completely transform how we learn so that environmental awareness is baked right in. Second, we need to totally rethink our relationship with the natural world. Third, it's about empowering the voices of people who are most impacted by climate change. This has to be about justice and equality. And finally, and this is a big one, we have to drive actual behavioral transformation. We need to close that gap between knowing what's right and doing what's right.
And to make all this happen, we need an all-hands-on-deck approach, and that absolutely includes technology. I mean, think about it. We can use AI to monitor deforestation in real time. We can build smart cities with IoT tech. We could even use things like blockchain to make sure environmental governance is transparent. The potential for technology to accelerate this change is just massive.
Of course, it's not just about tech. The stories we tell ourselves are just as important. Media and communication play a huge role here. This is how we can start to rethink our relationship with nature and lift up new voices. We're talking about everything from building eco-literacy and fighting the wave of misinformation to using social media for digital activism that can mobilize entire communities. And look, for any of this change to actually stick, it has to be written into the rules of the game, into our systems of governance. That's where the legal world comes in. It's absolutely essential for establishing things like climate justice, for enforcing corporate responsibility, and for declaring that a healthy environment is a fundamental human right. So, as you can see, this is not just some theoretical academic exercise. This whole international effort is designed to create real, tangible results, things that policymakers, teachers, and activists can actually pick up and use. And the outcomes are super concrete. We're talking about policy recommendation white papers, an international network so people can collaborate, and, this is my favorite, a youth action charter actually put together by students. The goal here is to create real, lasting tools for change, from new teaching models all the way to peer-reviewed research.
So as we start to wrap this up, let's bring it all back to that core idea we started with. All of these external actions we've talked about, the policies, the tech, the networks, all of it is powered by a fundamental shift that happens inside. And this point is captured so well in the philosophy of Swami Vivekananda. The idea is simple but profound. Knowledge by itself isn't enough. Real, true transformation only happens when our knowledge turns into action. It's all about closing that gap between what we know we should do and what we actually do.
And that really leaves us with one final thought. This whole mission, this transformation, it isn't just for the experts or the politicians, it's for every single one of us. So I'll leave you with this to think about. If you could design just one lesson, one single lesson to transform the way the whole world thinks about our planet, what would that lesson be?